When do you reach for a drill before an impact driver? Can you use drill bits in an impact driver? Can you drive screws with a drill? All these questions and more will be answered on today's video. Welcome to the channel. My name is Matt, and some people call me the Comedic Carpenter. Others call me a scourge. Today we're taking a look at two similar yet very different tools, the drill driver and the impact driver. There is some overlap with these tools as they can be used for some of the same things, but each has its own distinct tasks it excels at. And we're going to talk about that right after this. If you enjoy this video, why don't you hit the like button? Why don't you subscribe to the channel here on YouTube? And why don't you leave a comment? And if you like these videos, you enjoy this type of content, why don't you head over to the website, subscribe to the mailing list at comediccarpenter.com. I can't guarantee what I send you is legal, but rest assured you will enjoy it. So on the surface, these tools appear very similar, and essentially they are. Both have motors that spin a chuck at the front of the tool, but they operate very differently. A drill simply has a motor that spins and transfers that power up to this chuck. In essence, that's what this tool does. There's also a clutch that can control the torque, so it cuts out at a certain setting. That's what this little ring is here. See? So at the very end of it, you have a little drill bit, and then a number of numbers around the outside. The impact driver, on the other hand, uses a very fancy mechanism of a spring and a hammer, and it basically sends out little jolts of torque. And that's what that noise is that you hear, that noise. I'm not going to get into any more detail on how it works because it's not important, and I just don't know. What I do know about the impact driver is that since it isn't applying constant torque like a drill, it doesn't exhibit that nasty little tendency of trying to shatter your wrist if the bit binds up for some reason. So these tools are similar, but they do have their intended purposes that they excel at. Drills are made for drilling holes. Impact drivers are made for driving screws. Now, we're going to get into that in a second, but first I wanted to cover a couple of other types of drills that are out there, in case you might be wondering what the heck these things are when you see them. All right, so the first drill is this one. It's called a hammer drill. It looks like a regular drill, that's because it is, but it has an extra function. And that extra function is the hammer function. Let me see if I can get that. Now you might have one of these and not even know it. A lot of drills have this function. Just look for the little hammer, and if you see the little hammer, you're good to drill into masonry, concrete, block, stone, anything like that. The way these work is kind of like the impact uses a hammer, but in a rotary fashion. This uses the hammering function in this direction, forward, like a traditional hammer. And it does it like 30,000 times a minute. Just really fast, it's really loud, but it works pretty well. It uses a bit like this. It's got a little piercing head and then kind of some regular thread type things. Now, if you've ever seen these little blue screws, they're called Tapcons.
Tapcons.
This is basically what you're going to be using the hammer drill for. Drilling holes in a basement wall and hanging things. And that's about the extent to which I use a hammer drill. If I need 1 or 2 holes, small holes, I'll use it. But if I need big holes in concrete or block, I reach for this, the rotary hammer. Now the rotary hammer works in a very similar fashion, except for it's designed specifically for drilling into masonry. So it's far more powerful and a lot faster. Now this one has 3 functions. It's got just a drill mode, so the bit just spins. Then it's got the hammer mode. Oh, please focus. Hammer mode, so that's it turns and hammers. And then it's got just hammer mode up here. And the hammer mode allows you to use bits like this. Chisels. So it just hammers, this way. So you can scrape. I've used it to scrape tile off walls, off floors, scrape up that nasty stick down tile. So that's a nice benefit to the rotary hammer. Now with the rotary hammer, you can run some pretty big bits and it just blows through concrete. See, it's got a special end there. This is a SDS plus is what they call that. So that covers the other drills that you might find. And there's more specialty ones like mixing drills. They got big handles on them for mixing up thin set, mortar, and mud for the drywall guys. And they make right angle drills, getting in tight spaces. There's probably all sorts that I don't even know about. But this is what I have, so this is what I'm showing you. Okay, it's time to get into the meat of the video. When to use each drill to drill and to drive. Let's move on. All right, folks, I managed to get my hair trimmed up and get sick for a few days, but I'm fine. It was just mild, don't worry. Just a little mild cold. I'll be fine. Getting over it. So where did we leave off? Yes. So when do I use a drill to drill holes? And the answer to that question is the majority of the time. Countersinks. These are self-centering bits. What do we got? Auger bits. These are really great for drilling deep holes. This is a cool step drill. It's for like sheet metal and stuff. Oh yeah, pocket screws. Anytime I'm doing that type of, or I need to use these, it's a drill. That's what it's for. So most of these types of bits work best at high speed and with a continuous motion, and that's exactly what a drill gives you. So this is about one of the biggest bits I'll ever run in a drill, and it's actually a saw. It's a hole saw, that's what they call it. It's got teeth. This is a 4 3/4 inch hole saw. It's pretty big. I think they make like 6 inchers. I certainly have no need for anything that large. So what I was alluding to earlier, or what I mentioned earlier, about breaking your wrist, well, this is what'll do it to you. You want to use caution when drilling with one of these. And if your drill came supplied with a handle, now would be a good time to put it on. That's a pretty good setup for using a bit this large or a hole saw this big. Ooh, that's scary, man. That's some scary right there. So I answered the question. The majority of the time, I'm using a drill to drill holes, like 99% of the time. There's a few things I use an impact for, and we're gonna cover that in a little bit. So when it comes to driving screws with a drill, about up to 1.5 inches or so is what I'll
drive with a drill. Anything bigger than this, I just don't see a reason to use a drill. Impact is better suited for bigger screws. Things like, you know, just little screws. These are 3/4 inch spacks. Got pocket screws. Definitely pocket screws. I never use an impact to drive pocket screws. You'll either strip it out or just like do some sort of damage. And oftentimes when I'm driving small screws, I like to use my little drills. They're great. Just hang them on my side here. Hang them on my side, pull them out, get to work. So like I said, anything bigger than 1.5 inches or so, I'm going to an impact. I mean, a drill would have no problem putting this in, 2.5 inch screw. I just don't see, this is like the dream machine for putting in screws. 2.5 inch, 3 inch deck screws, construction screws, and of course, the big dog, spacks, structural screws. I got some big ones in here. I think I got some 6 inch. Just big things like this. It's the impact driver all day long. You know, these have like a little drill mode. I'm not really sure exactly what it's for. I think it's for sheet metal screws. I think you're right. So it like spins super fast, and then once it feels the resistance of as the self-driving, self-drilling screws, self-tapping, whatever you want to call them, once the threads hit, it slows down. I think that's how that works. Don't quote me on that. So the answer to the question is big screws is what I drive with this. Big screws. If you've ever drilled through floor joists or studs, running wires, what have you, it's kind of a pain. And that's why I use this here. A self-feeding auger bit, spade. I don't even know what they actually call these, but this is an Irwin speed bore. And I use the impact. And it's like effortless. It feeds through. I mean, at the end, you got to kind of work it, jam it through, but this is the ticket here for drilling through studs, in my opinion, as long as you got the room. But I have put this in my right angle, I believe, to get into some pretty tight spaces. So this is one of the times I'll use the impact drill, and that's probably about it, actually. I can't think of any other time I'd use an impact to drill a hole. Probably just forgetting. I'm very forgetful. Well, I forgot to record the that. Okay, so I hate when I forget to record. I had some gold content there. All right, so I was telling you about this, drilling through joists, studs. It's fantastic. Self-feeds. It's effortless. Boom. It's like no work on your part. It's lovely. I was saying as well, this is an Irwin. I believe this is a speed bore. And I don't know if it's Irwin. I think it's Bosch maybe. They make one called Nail Strike. You can basically hit nails and it won't even affect it, because using a regular paddle bit, hit a nail, it's done. The Nail Strike ones, they last forever. I drilled tons of holes. Even if you hit a nail, which you're bound to hit. So that's when I drill with an impact driver right there. What do we have up next? Oh, we should talk about the... Now, I don't know if I'm even going to do this because it's kind of a waste. This thing is a mammoth. But I want to show you some tips, actually. If I get a tip, yep. So when you're drilling with a hole saw, You want to be careful. Just watch this. See, it's just right there. See? That's really where this handle is almost crucial. So my tip is to kind of pulse it. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing this. It's whatever you like, I guess. But I have found if you kind of just pulse it and if you wiggle it a little bit, helps to clear out the chips as you go. Oh, this thing is just... It's starting to spin on me. Hold on. It's a hell of a lot of torque there. Let's see if I can do this now. Just wiggling it a little bit like that. Lifting it out a little bit every once in a while to kind of clear the dust out, not putting a lot of pressure downward. Letting the teeth do the work. And there it is. That actually went pretty well. This is a saw, remember? These are teeth, so don't force it. Don't force it. Just let it do the work. Let it do the cutting. These, if you're curious, are Lennox. The Lennox hole saws. They got a really great arbor system. Just screws in. Just screws in to a point, and then you engage those little pins and screw that up to it. It never gets stuck. You know, it'll never get locked. The arbor will never get locked onto the saw because it's not locked on there. Great system. I'll put a link in the description for that. What a beautiful hole that made. Okay, what's next? These auger bits are pretty nice. I like them. They're self-feed. They got huge, whatever you want to call these. I don't know what these are. Flutes, maybe? So it extracts the chips pretty well. This one's kind of dull, but they make a nice clean hole. They drill fast. Great if you need deep holes. One thing I use these for is if you're putting in like bolts for newel posts and things. You gotta go down into deep into 2x material. If you gotta drill deep into the stud to fasten a zip bolt. What the hell are those called?
It's called a zip
Whatever,
bolt.
those bolts. This is a good option. I think you can get them in 12-inch. But they drill pretty quick, drill pretty clean. I should probably show you. That one, you couldn't even see that one.
Oh, look at that hole. That's nice.
Anything with self-feed is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's always a plus.
Oh, indeed.
Ain't that right, partner?
Oh, that's right.
Well, I think
partner.
that's about it for this fantastic video.
Fantastic indeed.
I can't think of anything else I want to say.
Mm-mm.
Just, be careful. Be smart. You can get hurt with a drill. Don't drill through your hand.
No,
Right
no,
through.
no, no.
That's not good.
No, that wouldn't be good at all, would it?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Folks, at this point, you should be an expert at drilling. And if somebody sees you out there drilling, they should say, wow, that guy really knows what the hell he's doing. And I want to be his friend. And if that's not happening, well, you're either doing something wrong or you're just not likable. And if that's the case, I can't really help you unless you come to one of my seminars titled How to Be a Likeable Son of a Gun. Coming to a city near you soon. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one. How to Be a Likeable Son of a Gun. It's a $1,400 seminar. It's a 2-week intensive. No, it's 1 hour, and it's $2,800. No. It's a telephone call and $12,000. It's a good deal. It's a good deal.